The air in Florida is thick with humidity, a familiar feeling as summer begins. But this year, 2025, there's an extra layer of concern. Forecasters across the globe are sounding a clear alarm. They expect the Atlantic hurricane season, which officially started on June 1st, to be unusually active. These are not just casual predictions, they are based on hard data and observable trends. Many experts believe this season could be extremely severe, posing a significant threat to coastal communities, particularly in vulnerable regions like the Sunshine State. The warnings urge residents to prepare for a potentially challenging few months ahead, extending all the way to November 30th. A primary reason for this grim outlook is the state of our oceans. Sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean, especially in the main development region for hurricanes, are significantly warmer than average. This warmth is like fuel for hurricanes, allowing them to intensify rapidly and sustain their power for longer periods. Scientists point to climate change as a major contributing factor to these warming ocean temperatures. The continued emission of greenhouse gases traps more heat in the atmosphere and, consequently, the oceans absorb a large portion of this excess heat. This creates a more favorable environment for stronger and more destructive storms to develop and thrive. Beyond the warm waters, other atmospheric conditions are aligning to suggest a busy season. Forecasters anticipate the development of ENSO-neutral conditions, meaning neither El Niño nor La Niña will be strongly influencing weather patterns. During La Niña phases, hurricane activity often increases, but even neutral conditions, combined with warm waters, can support an active season. Additionally, predictions indicate potentially weaker wind shear. Wind shear, the change in wind speed and direction with height, can tear apart developing storms. Lower wind shear means hurricanes face less resistance as they try to organize and strengthen, making their path to intensification much smoother. Leading weather organizations have released their specific forecasts, painting a consistent picture of heightened activity. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicts an above-average season with a likely range of 13 to 19 named storms. Of those, they expect 6 to 10 to become hurricanes, and 3 to 5 could reach major hurricane status, meaning Category 3 or higher with winds of at least 111 miles per hour. Similarly, the respected team at Colorado State University forecasts 17 named storms, with 9 of them escalating to hurricanes, including 4 major hurricanes. Their analysis suggests hurricane activity in 2025 could be about 125% of the average observed between 1991 and 2020. The consensus among meteorological experts extends further. North Carolina State University, drawing on over a century of historical data and current weather patterns, predicts 12 to 15 named storms. They anticipate up to 8 of these could become hurricanes, with as many as 3 potentially developing into major hurricanes. AccuWeather's forecast aligns closely, projecting 13 to 18 named storms, 7 to 10 hurricanes, and 3 to 5 major hurricanes. They also highlight the concerning possibility that up to 6 hurricanes could directly impact the U.S. mainland, and they even note a 20% chance of the season producing more than 18 named storms if conditions prove exceptionally conducive. This predicted intensity for 2025 draws comparisons to some notably active hurricane seasons of the past. Meteorologists see similarities to years like 1996, which brought hurricanes Bertha and Fran, 1999, remembered for the devastating Hurricane Floyd, and other active years such as 2006, 2008, 2011, and 2017. These historical parallels serve as a stark reminder of the destructive potential that an above-average season can unleash. Learning from these past events is crucial for effective preparation and response in the face of the storms that may lie ahead in the coming months. The patterns observed in those years are helping to inform the current warnings. The official Atlantic hurricane season spans from June 1st to November 30th each year. While storms can occasionally form outside this window, this 6-month period is when conditions are typically most ripe for tropical cyclone development. The peak of the season usually occurs around September 10th, with the majority of storm activity concentrated between mid-August and mid-October. As of early June 2025, the tropics have been relatively quiet, with no immediate threats on the horizon. The first named storm of the Atlantic season, when it forms, will be called Andrea. This period of calm, however, should not lead to complacency, as conditions can change rapidly. The genesis of most major storms can be traced back to tropical waves. These are elongated areas of low pressure that move westward across the tropics, often originating over Africa. Approximately 85% of all tropical storms begin as these seemingly innocuous waves. For a wave to develop into a powerful hurricane, it needs several ingredients. Warm ocean waters, at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 26.5 degrees Celsius, moist air, relatively light winds in the upper atmosphere, and a pre-existing weather disturbance. With ocean temperatures already high, one critical ingredient is abundantly available this year, increasing the odds that more of these waves will successfully organize and intensify into formidable weather systems. Florida, with its extensive coastline along both the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, often finds itself in the path of these powerful storms. Decades of experience have bred a unique attitude among its residents. There's a certain resilience, a practical understanding of what needs to be done when a hurricane warning is issued. Boarding up windows, stocking up on supplies, and making evacuation plans are familiar rituals for many Floridians. This preparedness is born out of necessity, a learned response to the repeated threat that these natural phenomena pose to their homes and communities each year. However, alongside this pragmatism, there's often a distinct Floridian spirit of defiance, sometimes manifesting as hurricane parties. For some, the approach of a storm is met not just with caution but with a resolve to face it head-on, often with a touch of bravado. "We've seen them come and go for generations," says longtime resident Maria Sanchez from Miami. "Got my shutters, got my generator, and the cooler's stocked. We respect the storm, but we don't let it break our spirit. We help our neighbors and we get through it together." This sentiment reflects a community accustomed to nature's fury. This unique attitude is echoed by others. Another hurricane? Just another reason to make sure your flashlight batteries are fresh and your grill has propane, jokes Tom Henderson, a resident of the Florida Keys. Sure, it's serious, but panic doesn't help anyone. We Floridians know how to ride out a storm. Sometimes it even brings the neighborhood closer together, once the heavy winds pass, of course. This blend of preparedness and a refusal to be cowed is a hallmark of the state's response, though it walks a fine line between admirable resilience and potential underestimation of the increasing power of these storms. Yet, officials continually stress the importance of heeding all warnings, especially with predictions of a more severe season. While the party spirit can be a coping mechanism, it should not overshadow the very real dangers posed by storm surge, extreme winds, and widespread flooding. Complacency can be a dangerous adversary when facing storms that are potentially stronger and more erratic due to changing climate conditions. The resilience of Floridians is undeniable, but it must be paired with an evolving understanding and respect for the increasing threat that these supercharged weather systems represent in the modern era. As hurricanes appear to grow stronger and more frequent, an intriguing and at times controversial discussion has emerged. Could humans ever control these massive weather systems? The idea of government intervention or large-scale technological solutions to weaken or steer hurricanes is no longer confined to science fiction. Proposals have ranged from cloud seeding to alter storm structure, to deploying cooling technologies to lower sea surface temperatures in a storm's path. The allure of mitigating such destructive power is understandably strong, given the immense human and economic toll these storms can inflict. The debate surrounding hurricane control is multifaceted. On one hand, the potential to save lives, protect property, and reduce the devastating impact on communities is a powerful motivator. Proponents argue that if the technology could be developed responsibly, the benefits would be enormous. However, skeptics and many scientists raise significant concerns. Hurricanes are incredibly complex and powerful systems, integral to the global climate. Intervening could have unforeseen and potentially catastrophic consequences on weather patterns, marine ecosystems, or even trigger other natural disasters. The ethical implications of playing God with nature also weigh heavily in these discussions. The scientific and logistical challenges are immense. The sheer scale of energy involved in a hurricane is difficult to comprehend, let alone manipulate. Many proposed methods lack proven efficacy or could be prohibitively expensive and difficult to deploy on the necessary scale. Furthermore, international agreement would likely be needed if such technologies were to affect weather beyond one nation's borders, adding another layer of complexity. For now, the consensus in the scientific community is that reliable, safe hurricane control remains largely beyond our current capabilities, though research into weather modification continues in various forms across the globe. Therefore, While the dream of taming hurricanes might one day become a reality, the immediate future demands a focus on proven strategies, robust preparedness, accurate forecasting, and resilient infrastructure. For Florida and other vulnerable regions, this means reinforcing building codes, improving evacuation routes, and ensuring that every resident understands the risks and has a personal plan. The spirit of the people is a vital asset, but it must be coupled with vigilance and respect for the growing power of nature. As the 2025 season unfolds, readiness remains our most effective shield against the storms to come.